Music, what a wonderful thing. From lullabies to classical, from massive festivals to tiny intimate shows for very few people, from traditional vinyls to online streaming. There is no doubt that music is powerful. It draws attention, crosses gender, borders, cultures, captivates millions, and can create strong emotional connections.
Truthful, honest, brave, courageous. That is, to me, what the great songs of our lifetimes really are. They tell a truth of some kind, and there's a bit of fearlessness about revealing that truth. It's very hard to retell. It's hard to say, you know, I love you it's been said a million different times, but the great songwriters are the ones who find a way to tell you, yet again, something very truthful and honest and strike a chord.
Music has been with us for centuries, has seen the world change, and has changed with the world. And, as much of the rest of the world, the music industry has not remained untouched by the media and technological revolution that we've been exposed to the past few decades. In this ever-changing world we live in, is it easy for artists today to reach an audience? With home recording, YouTube, iTunes, and peer-to-peer sharing in the scene, what is the formula for a hit song? How and what sells? In such a fragmented industry that mixes emotion, taste of the public, talent, fashion, and constant changes in technology, for people in the music business, it became very clear that it's not enough just to release an album these days. How to sell more music, get more people to the shows, offer new artists, engage and understand fans, and make more money is an endless challenge for marketing experts.
The consumer is now very, very much in control. In the old days, they could never hear a record or even barely hear anything other than a single on the radio.
All of these businesses now were reaching a level of sophistication that would require the best marketing, advertising campaigns, the use of direct marketing, the ability to be able to understand slowly how these different industries, what we would call sectors of the entertainment and media industry, were all competing with each other and also collaborating.
Today on Market, get to know how the music industry has adapted, changed, and reinvented itself to a new era. What are the marketing campaigns that showed the most innovative strategies? And which are the artists that better understood how to interact with the public in the most creative and profitable ways? There was a time when the music industry had a very clear purpose: to sell more and more records. Then came a time of revolution, of emerging technologies and new formats.
I've been in the music industry for over 25 years. It's been a very interesting time to be part of the business because it has changed so significantly. I'm aging myself, but I have been around long enough to see the first format wave, which was vinyl into compact disc. The wonderful thing that happened in those days, which was in the 80s and early 90s, was people were replacing their old format of vinyl with this new format of compact discs. It was very exciting for everyone. And it was a very exciting time to be in the record business because we were essentially reselling older music. People were just replacing the format.
After the boom of CDs, special editions, and remastered sessions of old records, came a new revolution. As for most everyone, the internet changed the rules for the music industry dramatically. Into the scene came the uploads, downloads, peer-to-peer sharing, Napster, iTunes, and piracy. That shook everyone on their feet and forced them to rethink, yet again, of how they would need to tailor this new era consumer. How were they going to make money?
It is told, in a way it's almost like a great story from the past, that this company called Napster, at its height, was reaching with what we call pirated or stolen, though he, simply running Napster, felt that it was just sharing, right? File sharing to 100 million young people. We couldn't believe that the recording industry would kind of just go, well, it'll stop someday. It's what we call hiding your head in the sand.
But sharing didn't stop, and sales suffered dramatic reductions, so the music industry fought back.
Suddenly, CD sales that had totaled before Napster and had reached $40 billion around the world was now at half that. So CD sales had almost looked like it was going to disappear until the industry stepped in, closed Napster down, and began to allow for opportunities where there would be some compensation.
But even with Napster out of the game, solely selling CDs was no longer an option, especially when dealing with younger generations. Then, online streaming suddenly became the answer to many, many questions.
Let's not forget that the music stores or record stores have all but disappeared. Now, if you want to buy a CD, well, you go to Amazon, you go to some of the other direct services, or you can still go to some of the major bookstore chains like Barnes & Noble, and they'll have a music department.
These days, they can sample it. They can hear it. They can hear the entire album in its entirety, from top to bottom, on a digital service like Spotify. They don't have to commit to buying the album. They can listen to as much music as they want to on YouTube.
iTunes came in and met the challenge, and today, between the iPod and the iPad and the smartphone, iTunes probably does, $50 billion by themselves, or somewhere in that category, along with all the other people who are selling music one track at a time. Pandora is, of course, another wonderful example, Zynga, and then there are half a dozen other access outlets. So the music industry has not gone away.
As it is unclear how online music will affect the future of CDs, figures speak for themselves. According to Nielsen SoundCan surveys, in 2013, the CD declined 14.5% to 165.4 million units, down from 193.4 million in the prior year in the US. But music brings always surprises. Last year, vinyl continued its ascension, rising to 6 million units from the 4.55 million the format sold in 2012. So, the war between analog versus digital hasn't ended. Vinyl is now 2% of album sales in the US. Digital albums comprise 40.6%, and the CD is 57.2%, while cassettes and DVDs are 0.2%. Up next, find out which are the most innovative artists that are using new marketing strategies to attract fans, and discover what the experts say about the future of the industry. happens in every industry, and music is no exception. In times of decreasing sales, radical changes, crisis and uncertainty, only innovation can be the solution to the problem of how to attract customers. Some artists and their teams got to the conclusion that traditional marketing methods had to be challenged in order to obtain new results.
We are constantly looking for ways of reacting to and creating out of circumstances something that wasn't there before, that creates some new energy, some new creative spark, some new possibility.
Our challenge is bigger and more difficult than ever, and that is to sign great artists and tell a great story, musically and otherwise, of great artists, great songs, high quality. That's the only way we're going to be able to combat with this new love that consumers have for using music and consuming music in this new way. They can have it any way they want to, so they're very picky about what they'll buy.
One of the artists that has understood better than anyone this new era of music business is Lady Gaga. The famous American pop singer and songwriter created a character out of herself that transcends music.
Lady Gaga, just a few years ago, was a student at our NYU University, New York University. She understood how to market herself. She used the internet. She used Twitter, a social community, a social media marketing device, and she became literally a worldwide brand.
And the consumer said, not only do I love the music, not only can I get it on YouTube, and I want to own it. I love her, I love the songs speak to me, the artist is speaking to me, I want to be part of it. You can say the same thing for Lady Gaga, and you can say the same thing for that matter, you can say the same thing for Yo-Yo Ma. You know, it's not just the song, it transcends. It starts with a great song, you're hooked in. Then you realize that a great artist is performing it, and you kind of fall in love. And then there's a third stage, which is, I want to be part of it, and I want to own it.
So, it's no longer just about the music. It's about charisma. It's about being able to use the available tools to reach audiences and engage. And, with artists becoming international brands, started a new time in which marketing experts try to use the tools they use in other industries. Of course, one of the most important tools being the web.
The internet is providing a whole new opportunity, and it's almost funny to use the word viral because viral isn't even really the key word in this. It's, I don't know that there is really a key strategy. The consumer is using YouTube and using the internet replaced radio, and we're following it, we're working with it, we're creating more video content, creating exclusive content, not necessarily chasing the consumer, but we sometimes call it around here feeding the beast.
In December 2013, Beyoncé issued her 5th studio album with an unconventional method. She caught her fans off guard with a surprise visual album release. 14 tracks, accompanied by 17 videos, just in time for the holiday season. Without prior announcement, it led to a hysterical response from the public and sold 828,773 copies worldwide in 3 days, becoming the fastest-selling album in iTunes Store history. The recipe for this huge success? Engagement, and making the public feel part of an experience.
We're constantly giving the consumer new and interesting things from all of our artists to keep them interested and to keep them engaged in what the artist is doing. And we don't really know what's on the other side of that. And we don't really can't really put it into words how it translates to record sales. I think it's a blessing and a curse, but I think it's an important thing that we can't necessarily gauge the consumer in the same way that we used to. So the only way to deal with it, again, is the same answer, which is great artists, great music with something to say, and of course great video content and great sort of interesting, engaging content for the consumer, so that they join the club, essentially. That's what we're doing.
Another great example of new strategies for music marketing is what the American rapper Jay-Z did with his 12th studio album, Magna Carta Holy Grail. Through a multi-million-dollar deal, the artist teamed up with Samsung. The brand bought 1 million copies up front and created a special app for its customers, who were able to download the album for free 4 days before it was available for purchase. The result? Instant success. On the day of its physical release in the United States, the album was certified platinum by the Recording Industry Association of America and debuted at #1 on the US Billboard 200. A simple but very important lesson for the industry. Innovation, new ideas, and offering the fans exclusive content can go a very long way.
The state of mind of being open and available to creativity, to imagination, to making things happen that hadn't happened. That's a state of mind which we call possibility. And the art of possibility is moving from the normal daily attitudes of what we call the downward spiral, which is essentially a survival mode. You're trying to succeed, you're trying to improve on the situation, get a better advantage over other people, and they're therefore very competitive, and there's a lot of pressure and also fear of failure because you're going for success. All of that we call the downward spiral.
Up next, find out what will be the future of advertising and music production, and what artists need to learn to stay in the game. Now that it's so easy to share and even create music, new trouble has risen to the surface. The music industry has become oversaturated with an overwhelming amount of new artists. And it's very hard for producers to put out new products that stand out from the crowd. Anyone can make music, but how do you tell real talent apart? How do they make sure that it's going to blow people's mind and sell at the same time?
No longer requires a studio and a recording studio and an engineer to be able to make a CD. The phrase garage band is really accurate. It means that 5 young men or young women today can come together, write a few songs, invest in a digital formatting device, hook it up to a strong but not terribly expensive computer, and create their own, or as they call it, burn their own CD or demo. The issue is being able to be sufficiently breakthrough.
In this context, the music industry has also suffered an important market concentration, and labels are no longer what they used to be.
These days, an individual band has a great deal of difficulty because there are so many bands, and there are fewer labels. All you have are 3 major labels and then many, many, many independent labels. Well, what does that mean? That means in any given year, there are 30,000 CDs released by independents, bands, soloists, production houses, and there's no way that the industry can absorb that. So we know that out of that huge number of CDs that are released to the labels, hoping that there'll be some kind of distribution package, maybe 100 actually go into the stores or go to iTunes for distribution.
For new artists, it's a real mystery to discover how the industry will react to what they have to offer. That's when creativity emerges, and what may be observed as an obstacle becomes an opportunity for some of them.
Justin Bieber is an example of talent that was discovered not as a garage band, not as someone who was signed by a major label, but someone who simply performed at home using what we call consumer-generated content, showed it on YouTube, and was discovered by a talent manager. And today, Mr. Bieber has his own record album. He's got a fragrance, a perfume. He's got followers on tweeters, and he's a world brand, a music brand.
Analysts agree that as old methods expired and the music industry has completely changed its rules, producers should consider other alternatives. So, repurposing, as they call it, can be an option in a difficult context.
Music is showing up on TV commercials, and the talent is getting paid. Music is part of every musical, theatrical release, and so they're getting paid. Music is also used on TV for theme songs, and of course in the movies. Probably one of the 3 fastest growing categories, apart from country music, Christian music, and the 3rd category is called music soundtracks, movie soundtracks, movie soundtracks. People love to play again and again the music that comes from some of their top loved movies. It kind of brings them back to the memories of the movie that they saw.
For other actors in the music industry, success is a question of personality. In other words, what new artists should do is work in something special that has nothing to do with what people already know. Freshness, innovation, and originality are factors that should be considered in this new era.
No hace falta hacer una banda como los Red Hot Chili Peppers, para eso ya están los Red Hot Chili Peppers. Hace falta hacer una banda como Café Tacuba, que tiene su personalidad, su idiosincrasia, ¿no? Su identidad. Y eso sí aporta al mundo de la música, ¿no?
The great songwriter does is express a truth, his own truth or her own truth, and make it relatable to millions and millions of people. That's what keeps us. That's why we get. That's why we get sucked in. That's why we buy it. That's why we have to own it. That's why we have to sing it. That's why people sing it on YouTube and make videos. They love the story that this wonderful, honest songwriter told, and they make it their own.
Although much has changed, a whole lot has also stayed the same. The great power of talent remains untouched, for without it, music would be unable to create the much sought-after emotional connection with consumers. If marketing experts are smart enough to understand the new media landscape does not touch the underlying purpose of music, they might just be able to understand how to use it to their advantage.
I think still the answer is a great song and a great artist. That's the one thing that hasn't changed in 50 years. It's still the way you make a consumer fall in love and commit to buying it. I think that right at the moment, probably 2.5 years ago, right at the moment where we all kind of thought the consumer may have hung up the idea of owning an album, putting an album in their record collection. We still call them albums in a way, but putting a CD in their record collection. We were almost at a point where we thought it may not happen. And then Adele happened. And the consumer said, not only do I love the music, not only can I get it on YouTube, and I want to own it. I love her, I love the songs speak to me, the artist is speaking to me, I want to be part of it.
That's it for this episode of Market. But join us next time as we investigate new and exciting topics of the latest marketing agenda.